Good afternoon. Thank you for coming on a Friday afternoon. My name is Harvey Rishakoff. I'm the chair of the Advisory Standing Committee on Law and National Security. And we are here to introduce our new book that's just come out from ABA Publishing. It's called Patriots Debates, Contemporary Issues in National Security Law. If you'd like, there are copies outside. And we're very pleased to announce that the book cover has received the 2012 American Graphic Design Award. And it is our hope that not only will the outside win awards, but perhaps the inside and the content at some point will be recognized for the contribution that we all think it is. I would like you to visit the Patriot Debate's companion website. It's at http://ambar.org/Patriot Debates for additional content and news. We also are going to be having a blog site, which will hopefully continue the conversation that the issues that are raised in the book. I want you to know the books are also available at the back of the room, and I think our authors will be more than happy to sign them if you are able to catch them. I think each month, what you should know is that the ABA Journal featured one of our debates, which culminated in the release finally of the book. But we particularly would like to thank the ABA and the people at the Journal for featuring these, what we think are very critical and important debates. And we have one of the senior members of the ABA, Jack Rives, is lurking in the back, and we want to thank Jack for being here and all the support that you've given not only the book, but our committee since you've joined the American Bar Association. I appreciate it very much. I know I speak on behalf of all of our committee. We are very pleased to say that we've had a number of very positive responses. The former National Counterintelligence Executive, the director, Bob Bryant, we know him as Bear Bryant, called the book, quote, one of the best compilations of the key issues in the national security arena. What makes it stand out is the bipartisan dialogue, intellectual rigor, timeliness, and readability. A must-read for practitioners, policymakers, law students, and media, and the general public. I think what I'd like to do at this point, though, is sort of explain how the book came about. And the person who's going to ask to do that is Bernie Horowitz. Bernie, if you could take the podium and just briefly explain the process by which we sort of decided to come about to write this book.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank the ABA Committee on Law and National Security for giving me the opportunity to work on this book project, especially Stuart Baker and Harvey Rishakoff. If you told me a couple of years ago when I was still in college that soon thereafter I'd be working on a national security policy book with giants in the field like this, I would have told you that you were crazy, but here we are. I've been to a number of standing committee events in the past, and I often hear panelists describe that only now are we seeing national security law really come into its own as a separate, exclusive field, and only now are we seeing enterprises like lawfare and national security law-centric law reviews and journals pop up all over the place. And speaking as somebody who represents the youngest generation to directly experience the 9/11 attacks, this was true in my own life. I was always interested in politics and government, but I never had a chance to study national security policy in high school or in college, and that was why I wrote my undergraduate senior thesis on the Patriot Act. And it was during that time that I encountered the predecessor to our book, which was called Patriot Debates and was edited by Stuart Baker, came out in 2005. And what distinguished Patriot Debates is that it had this wonderful structure, which was these oppositional debate essays, which focused very much on policy rather than on personalities. And many of the other books I encountered at the time, around 2008, 2009, really just frankly, regurgitated platitudes about liberty and security, whereas Stuart's book really focused on policy. And I had a chance to meet Stuart in 2011 because we'd both done some work on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and the wall between intelligence and law enforcement, and I mentioned that I felt that Patriot Debates had served a noble purpose which other books hadn't. And Stuart said, well, it happens that I'm thinking about doing a new edition. And I asked him more about it, and he explained that he wanted to retain the same structure, the oppositional debate essays, and he wanted to bring back as many of the authors as he could because they'd all become significantly more accomplished since 2005. And I also asked Stuart what he had in mind for the book itself. And I think at the time he hadn't given it that much thought, but he was considering something of a revisitation of the Patriot Act after 10 years. But I thought it might be interesting if we applied the rubric of Patriot debates to the purpose of explicating, for example, the 10 most interesting and pressing national security policy topics that are currently on the docket, and that's what we ended up doing. So here we are a year and a couple of months later, and I think I speak for Harvey and Stuart and myself when I say that we really feel that we've accomplished our goal, which is to provide substantive analysis of these issues, which is also accessible. And we feel that the book appeals to a much wider demographic than just the national security policy wonk crowd. I think anybody interested in politics and government will find Patriots Debate worth their time. So thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank our authors for contributing their essays and also for coming here to debate these topics extemporaneously in the public square. The structure of our event today will be, we'll spend the first hour conducting the debates on a relatively formal basis. First, the detention policy debate, followed by cyber war, and then the second hour will be a Q&A session where you can submit questions on the note cards on your seats. And I will now, one more time, thank the ABA Standing Committee for sanctioning the event and turn things back over to my friend and co-editor, Harvey Rishakoff. Thank you,
Bernie. Bernie's a living example of what we love to see, which is that someone interested in national security law as an undergraduate, and then the committee is able to produce documents and that are able to be used for teaching purposes, and then we hope one day we'll end up in law school, perhaps, as an attorney. So thank you, Bernie, for everything you've done. The book was quite, the logic is, the framework is as follows. The first part of the book deals with the war on terrorism, and we deal with executive power, which has a debate with Lou Fisher and John Yoo, homegrown terrorism, which is the debate between Kate Martin and Gordon Letterman, and then the interrogations issue, which is the debate between Christopher Slobin and Norman Abrams. Then we moved to an area that we thought for part two was a very big issue, and that big issue is data technology and privacy. And there we broke out a number of debates which included third-party information issues, which is a debate between Greg Nojam and Oren Kerr. We have national security letters issues, which is a debate between Michael Richardson and Valerie Caproni and Stephen Siegel and Michael German on either side. And then we had the Einstein 3.0 that a lot of people not outside the Beltway knows about, so we thought it'd be interesting to have a debate about what the new technology is that the government's putting forward. And that debate was between Jim Dempsey and Paul Rosenzweig. And then CALEA, and CALEA is the Communications Assistance Law Enforcement Act. What's next? And that debate was between Susan Landau and Tony Rostenkowski. But we're starting with what the framework, what we call legal frameworks for projecting force. And we're going to have two of those debates this afternoon. The debate which we will have perhaps later is targeted killing, which is a debate with Monica Hakimi and Amos Biora. But today we're going to do cyber war and detention policies. And we're going to start off with detention policies. And we're going to start off with Craig Jacob and Stephen Laddick. And both individuals are quite well known to me, but not perhaps as well known to you in the viewing audience. Craig is a partner at O'Maloney and Myers. He served in several high-profile positions in the federal government, including at the White House, Department of Justice, and Department of Labor. Most recently, Greg served as Solicitor of Labor, the third-ranking official in the Department of Labor. In this position, Greg oversaw more than 600 employees, including 425 attorneys, and broadly managed the department's most important litigation under more than 180 federal labor and employment laws. He has also served as the Senior Advisor to the Secretary of Labor, Deputy Solicitor of Labor, and as Attorney Advisor in the Department of Justice's Office of Legal Counsel, and was a Special Assistant to President George W. Bush, he helped formulate policies in this position on immigration, justice, disability, tort reform, and other legal issues, and therefore comes to this particular debate with a great deal of knowledge and expertise, and why we wanted him to participate. And on my left is Professor Stephen Laddick, who is a professor of law and the Associate Dean for Scholarship at American University Washington College of Law. I think he's we all agree, is a nationally recognized expert on the role of federal courts in the war of terrorism. He was also part of the legal team that successfully challenged the Bush administration's use of military tribunals in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, in the Hamdan